Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about two issues. One about Zohran Mamdani and his stunning victory in the primaries for the seat of mayor of New York. So he was contesting the primaries to become the Democratic nominee, and he has won. In the process, he beat Andrew Cuomo, who was the establishment candidate, extremely funded by rich Democrats, funded by also pro-Israeli billionaires, and Andrew Cuomo, who has also served as the governor of New York, and he has all the strong credentials that an establishment Democrat usually has, which means loyal to Israel, involved with lots of accusations of sexual molestations, and of course, many charges of ethical violations. So he's a typical establishment Democrat, and he was endorsed by the New York Times, obviously. In spite of that, it was a stunning victory for Zohran Mamdani, who defeated him, and he's created a kind of a political earthquake in U.S. politics. Even though this is just about becoming the mayor of the most important city in the United States, but nevertheless, the discussions are going on nearly in every forum. President Trump obviously had to step in and show how crass he can potentially be on these issues. He accused Mamdani of being a lunatic communist and a Muslim, as if being Muslim is something wrong. So we will talk about his candidacy, and we will talk about the chances of him winning this election. We will see who is running against him. Apparently, Andrew Cuomo, who got his ass kicked once, is not happy with it. He wants it done again, and so he's staying in the race as an independent. Obviously, Eric Adams, the current mayor of New York, who also has like a typical establishment Democrat credentials, which means that he too has ethical and morality issues, legal issues. It was Donald Trump who basically dropped all the corruption charges against him in April. So he's more loyal to Donald Trump these days than to anybody else. So basically, there are going to be three Democrats in the race and one Republican come November. So we will talk about what their chances are. I was looking at the polls. I might show you the polls and these predictions to basically illustrate to you how useless these polls really are, because until a week ago, all these polls were predicting that Mamdani is going to lose, and that Andrew Cuomo was leading by more than 22 points in most cases, except for one poll. All other pollsters were predicting that Mamdani would lose. Or as we got closer and closer to the election day, they said, okay, he's catching up, but there was no prediction that Mamdani would win this election. So what does it really mean? We'll talk about that. The second issue that I want to discuss is the issue of birthright citizenship. On Friday, yesterday, the Supreme Court basically gave Donald Trump a huge victory. And I will talk about what that victory meant, and what the birthright certificate executive, birthright citizenship uh, uh, executive order really means. There's a lot of misunderstanding about it, and the critics of Donald Trump are not helping by spreading rumors which are essentially not true. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you the executive order itself, walk you through it, and tell you where it is dangerous and what it really means. So let's begin. As usual, I will speak for about, if possible, 15 minutes, but it could go to 20 minutes. Then I'll be happy to take your comments, your questions, read your comments and your questions if there are any. So anyway, thank you for watching Conversations. And if some of you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. You can also become a member. I host monthly Zoom conferences with members of Conversations, so we can talk face to face. I get great ideas, suggestions for shows, feedback, etc. So anyway, let's begin. So there are two things about Zohran Mamdani that are having a huge impact. Number one is his political position, which he says he is a social democrat. And there's a lot of confusion about social democrat. When Bernie Sanders ran in 2016, he claimed he was a social democrat or democratic socialist. So what does it really mean? Does it mean he's a communist? Is he against free trade? Is he against business, etc.? So those kind of discussions have been going on since Bernie Sanders became a really serious candidate for presidency in 2016. And then the Democrats basically cheated and robbed him of his primary because they wanted to make Hillary Clinton the president. And of course, then Donald Trump found it very easy. I still feel that if Bernie Sanders was a candidate in 2016, he was a populist, so was Donald Trump. And it is quite possible that Bernie Sanders would have beaten Donald Trump in 2016, but that's water under the bridge. Let's not talk more about that. Zohran is a socialist, and some of the positions that he has taken is scared the hell out of the rich people in especially corporate sector and billionaires in New York, because it's his policies straight away translate into higher tax rates straight up. There are two things that he has made very clear, that for people who make more than $1 million and who live in the city of New York, he's going to increase taxes on them by 2%. And for corporate taxes, he said the current rate is 7.5%. He's going to raise it to 11.5%. Lots of people are saying if he does that, corporations will leave New York and run away. Well, New Jersey's corporate tax is at 11.5%. It's a neighboring state. Yeah, and so if people are going to stay in New Jersey, uh, uh, why not New York? I mean, New Jersey is like a poor shadow of New York, and so Mamdani says it's not a problem. He doesn't expect there to be a capital flight out of New York to elsewhere. There are lots of talk about how people will go away to Florida. I mean, Florida is not a substitute to New York State or New York City. New York City is a blue city. It's extremely cosmopolitan. It is the capital, the global capital of the world. It is the capital of in capitalism in many ways. And Florida is a vacation spot. Yes, you don't have to pay taxes, but it's not the place where you would like to live if you are someone who is used to living in New York. Yes, you can go and spend your winters there for a couple of weeks, but that's it. Um, but then the other thing about Zaran Mamdani is his identity, the fact that he is an immigrant, that he became a citizen only 7 years ago. In this time and period where Donald Trump has essentially generated a lot of fear, anger, hatred, and intolerance for immigrants in general, for him to be able to have a successful campaign so far is shocking a lots of people. So the fact that he is a Muslim, the fact that he's an immigrant, the fact that he is not born in the United States, and the fact that he's a socialist, these are all things that uh, are surprising and shocking about him. But most importantly, he has basically done something that no American politician would dare to do. And one of that thing that he did is when asked by Mehdi Hassan in an interview, which I will show you, he said he would arrest Netanyahu if he came to New York. New York City has perhaps the largest number of Jews in the world, even more than the proper city of Tel Aviv. There are about 1.3 million Jews, so they have a lot of political influence. So they are very pro-Israel, a lot of them. And so this argument was that he's claiming that he would arrest Netanyahu, who is actually has an arrest warrant against him by International Criminal Court. The Philippines president Duterte, who had an ICC warrant against him, was arrested and handed over to the courts. Putin did not go to South Africa for the BRICS session. He may not go to Brazil. I think Brazil is also a signatory to the ICC, so he may not even go to Brazil this year for the for the BRICS summit. But Netanyahu can come to America because Israel, America, and India are some of the countries who have not signed up on ICC. India is worried that similar arrest warrants could be issued against Narendra Modi. Very early on, India did not sign up to the ICC. Uh, yeah, but nevertheless, his opposition to Israel, his condemnation of Israeli actions in Gaza, where people have started accusing him of being anti-Semitic. But he got a lot of support. He got the candidate, a Jewish candidate who was running in the third position, supported him, endorsed him. He won many of the Jewish neighborhoods of New York. So, except for the establishment Democrats who are accusing him of being anti-Semitic and are trying their best, really, to they're trying their best to derail his candidacy by saying that he's perhaps against Israel or against Jews, etc. So they're basically maligning him. In fact, Kristen Gillibrand, the senator from New York, uh, made false accusations about him, about saying things which he has actually never really said. Give me 1 second. My power cord has come off. That's why uh, the screen is becoming a little darker. All right. Okay, that's better. Sorry for the interruption. So, those are the two things. There are people in India also who seem to be very concerned about him and very worried about him. There again, because he's a Muslim, even though he is of Indian origin. His mother is Meera Nair, a very famous movie producer who made fantastic movies like Mississippi Masala. She has been given a Padma Shri. She's from Orissa. And her husband, Mahmoud Mamdani, is a very famous professor. He teaches at Columbia University. He is one of the top scholars. If you ask me who are the top two scholars of African studies, I would say Mahmoud Mamdani at Columbia and the late Ali Mazrui. And Mamdani is from Gujarat. He's a Gujarati Muslim. So Indians should be happy. Indians usually get happy every time somebody of Indian origin does well in any field. They immediately say, "Oh, that's because of his Indian origins." But in this particular case, because he is Muslim, they are not celebrating him as much. In fact, there's a lot of anti-Mamdani rhetoric coming on. Just go and watch ANI and other pro-Hindutva channels in India. One of the reasons why is that during the debate, he was asked this question. Let me show you that video so you can be a judge for yourself as to what Mamdani is said about Modi, and then I will show you what he said about who. And so you can see. So this is his video.
President Narendra Modi is holding a rally in Madison Square Garden. He wants to hold a joint press conference with you afterwards, reaffirming the strong bond between India and New York. Do you agree to the event?
No.
All right, Mr. Stringer?
No.
And Mr. Mamdani?
No, and I just want to say something here, which is that my father, his family comes from Gujarat in India, and his family is Muslim. I'm Muslim. And Narendra Modi helped to orchestrate what was a mass slaughter of Muslims in Gujarat to the extent that we don't even believe there are Gujarati Muslims anymore. And when I tell someone that I am, it's a shock to them that is even the case. And this is someone who we should view in the same manner that we do Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a war criminal.
So the comments that he made obviously has angered supporters of Prime Minister Modi. He equated Modi with Netanyahu. Obviously, they are very good friends. I think Modi should be proud of the fact that he has been put in the same club as Netanyahu, given how close they are. But nevertheless, he said Netanyahu is a war criminal and Modi is like Netanyahu, is a war criminal. I will not stand up. So this has obviously resonated very strongly. Lots of people, Kangana Ranaut and other BJP voices have been attacking him consistently. But notice that every other candidate also said no to standing up with Modi with his public event, except that Mamdani went a bit further. Of course, Mamdani was exaggerating. There are literally millions of Muslims who live in Gujarat. Only in April, just about 2 months ago, outside Ahmedabad, the Gujarat government destroyed about 8 to 12,000 homes of Muslims and made 8 to 10,000 Muslim families homeless. So I can tell you that yes, there are at least 8 to 12,000 Muslim families walking around in Gujarat homeless because the government has destroyed and bulldozed their homes without due process. So Mamdani is wrong in that sense. There are lots of Muslims. They may be homeless, many of them, thanks to the government of Gujarat, but there are Muslims in Gujarat. But nevertheless, his point is well made, because even the US government canceled Modi's visa, and he would never have got a visa if he had not been elected as Prime Minister of India. I also suspect that if he loses elections and becomes a civilian in India and a non-prime minister, a former prime minister of India, and when a democratic president comes, there's a pretty good likelihood that Modi's visa ban might be restored, because in the eyes of the international community, he has not been exonerated. He was exonerated by the Indian Supreme Court, but who cares about the Indian Supreme Court? There are crores of rupees that are found in judges' homes these days, and there's no accountability. Look at Justice Verma, who also had like 300 crores or something found cash in his house, which was then burnt. So the credibility of Indian courts are not that high outside India. But nevertheless, he did make those comments. He's been very critical of Modi. He's been very critical of Netanyahu. He's been very critical of Israel. In spite of that, he continues to enjoy tremendous support among many New Yorkers. New York is a very unusual place, even for America. 45% of all people who live in New York were not born in the United States. So, about nearly every other New Yorker. So, if you meet two New Yorkers, one of them is probably a foreigner. So, that's one reason why clearly Mamdani is doing so well, because there are millions of Bangladeshis, there are Pakistanis, there are hundreds of thousands of Indians and people from every part of the world live in New York City. And so for them to vote for an immigrant is just for voting for one of them. Talking about immigrants, when the new Chancellor of Germany was here, he brought a gift for Donald Trump. It was the birth certificate of Donald Trump's grandfather, who was a German who migrated to the US. He wanted to remind Donald Trump that even he is an immigrant. He's a grandson of an immigrant. So and here's the video about the question that he was asked about Netanyahu by Mehdi Hassan, who used to be on MSNBC, but now has his own channel, which is doing phenomenally well. It's called the ZTO. And Mehdi is also of Indian origin. He's a British guy born in England and migrated to the US recently. His parents are of Hyderabadi origin.
And Mayor Mamdani, would you welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not a signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries. Would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law. It's time that our actions are also.
Even though the US is not a signatory to the ICC?
No, it's time that we actually step up and make clear what we are willing to do to showcase the leadership that is sorely missing in the federal administration.
So you can see that it's a very strong statement that Mamdani is making. He's saying that even if the federal government is not going to respect international law, he's taking a dig at Donald Trump, because Netanyahu has been coming to the US so frequently, even after the arrest warrant was issued. So he's saying even if the federal government does not uphold international law, the city of New York will do that. I'm not very sure whether he will be able to actually do it in real life, because Netanyahu would have basically federal protection. He'll have Secret Service US agents. So the New York City police, under orders from the mayor, will have to go forward and snatch him from the hands of the Secret Service of the United States. So it's potentially not going to happen. But the fact that he's willing to take that position and run for election in New York City mayor and win the primary. See, winning the Democratic primary is a very significant thing. New York State is a very blue state like Delaware. So what happens in very blue and very red states is that it's the primary which is very important rather than the main election. So if you look at the state of New York today, the governor is a Democrat. The current sitting mayor of New York City is a Democrat. The previous mayor was also a Democrat, I think. And the two senators are also Democrats, and they also have many Congress people who are all Democrats, like Jerry Nadler and also AOC. So there are these accusations being made about him that he's anti-Semitic. He has not condemned the usage of the phrase globalized intifada. But Jerry Nadler, a very prominent Jewish congressman, has already endorsed him. Schumer has not done that. Kristen Gillibrand has not done. Governor of New York, who's a Democrat, has not done that because, I mean, they are under, I guess, speaking more for the Israeli lobby. They're taking a lot of money from billionaires who support, who are basically worried about the criticism of Israel that is growing in this country. They feel that it automatically translates into anti Semitism. It is, in many ways, they are basically saying that Americans cannot criticize Israel at all. And that is going to become a huge problem, I think, going forward. Uh, and uh, and we will see what is happening. But the fact that this gentleman was able to win the mayor and win Jewish neighborhoods has also, in some ways, scared the hell out of many people in, shall we say, uh, in the Democratic establishment, which is really some of the Democratic establishment, I think, deserve to or should register as foreign agents because they are always for, I'm for Ukraine, I'm for Israel. They are never for America in many ways. I want to show you a discussion between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson. I can't believe that I'm on my show showing their video, but they had this conversation today, which is just absolutely stunning. And so it also gives you an indication as to where the mood in this country is. So listen to her.
Since I've become a member of Congress since 2021, we have voted on 22 resolutions for Israel, 22 of them. All kinds of resolutions, denouncing anti-Semitism, supporting Israel. We voted on 22 of those. We never vote on resolutions proclaiming great things about America or defending certain Americans or defending Americans in general. But we have voted on 22 resolutions in the House defending Israel.
How many of you voted yes on?
I don't know my exact record. The last one I voted no on, and then the one before that I voted present because I just started getting sick of it.
Well, that's kind of it. I mean, I've always noticed this, certainly in the last, I don't know how many years it's been, a while, where Republicans in the Congress are, always talking about Israel. I'm not against Israel. I've always liked Israel, so haven't really noticed it. Okay, fine. Love
Right.
Israel, love any country, whatever. But it feels like something has changed. Like, why? And clearly it has for you. What is that thing?
Well, I think here's the situation. It's coming to a point where it's so obvious all the time in everyone's language, the social media posts they put out, the statements that they make. They have to proclaim Israel. They have to proclaim their faith and loyalty in Israel and how they, Israel is our greatest ally. And it's a statement that has to be made over and over and over again, to the point it's becoming like, wait a minute, what about our own country? What about our own people? And we have so many problems here in America. And we talk about this all the time, $37 trillion in debt. Just like you and I were speaking before, our kids' generations. My kids are 22, 25, and 27. And our children's generation, they can't afford rent. They can't afford to buy a house. They can't afford insurance. They can't buy a new car. They can't find a good paying job. They're living month to month, paycheck to paycheck, credit card bills stacked up. And they literally look to the future going, how am I ever going to realize the American dream? And it seems hopeless for them. But then in Congress, everyone is chasing and pursuing and proclaiming their loyalty to a foreign country. Since I've become a member of...
So the thing that she's saying is very important. So if you saw the debate in which they asked all the candidates running for mayor, which country will you visit first? Everybody except Mamdani said Israel. Like, what's your job is to be the mayor of New York City. Your job is to take care of the people of New York, not be advocating for a foreign country. So this whole thing is, I think there's a turning point. I think even New Yorkers are getting tired of this. and saying, what, we can't even criticize a country to which we give billions of dollars, we support it all the time, we stand with it even when it drags us into wars in the Middle East. We have become enemies of many, many countries just for this country, and we can't even criticize it. We will lose our jobs. So there is this sentiment also, I think, in New York, especially among younger Jews, among younger Americans, who are saying, look, I can't even afford the bus, I can't afford to live in this city that I love. So that is why I think they are disregarding all the criticism coming from establishment Democrats. It's a tragedy that the biggest enemy of Mamdani come the next few is going to be Democrats themselves, who are going to try and block Democrats from donating money to Mamdani. They're going to set up two alternative Democrats as independents, which will be Eric Adams, the current mayor, who should be in jail for corruption. Donald Trump basically dropped charges against him because the investigation was being conducted by the federal prosecutor of southern New York. And then the other guy is the sexual molester and the corrupt guy who. There's a lot of scandals about on Andrew Cuomo and the way he handled COVID. So these are the two corrupt people that the Democrats potentially are going to support and divert the money which could otherwise go to supporting Mamdani. They do not like his agenda. And you tell me why you would be against the agenda. The things that he's offering: number one, free bus service for all New Yorkers. Number two, he's saying that there are deserts, food deserts in the city of New York. There are many places where there are no groceries, and so in order to buy groceries, you have to go to another neighborhood. You're spending money, or you're getting it delivered. You're paying extra. So it's like an artificial inflation on the food. So he wants to open 5 public grocery stores in 5 different boroughs. I guess those are experimental. If they really work, then he will open more in order to essentially eliminate food deserts, so people can go and buy inexpensive groceries in their neighborhoods. He is going to create 200,000 new, shall we say, what they call them as affordable housing. He's going to put a cap on rent. He's going to try and make New York City affordable for all New Yorkers. And apparently, that is an agenda which neither the Republicans nor the Democrats seem to like. And that is the whole point of it. New Yorkers like it. And so, unless the establishment Democrats sabotage this election, Mamdani is probably going to win. Let's hope he wins. Now, coming down to the birthright citizenship. So, on Friday, see, there is a practice in law where judges have been issuing injunctions against president's executive orders. So, let's say you apply to a court in Virginia or in DC or in New York, and the judges have been issuing injunctions which are nationwide. So a judge in Virginia can stop President Trump from implementing his policies in Montana, in Washington State, in Florida, in Texas, where the public might be in favor of implementing those laws. So the president really got upset and said that what is happening? Apparently, 35 of the 40 injunctions that have been issued against Donald Trump have all come from just a handful of liberal courts. And so he's saying these judges are basically preventing him. And he went to Supreme Court. So the decision that the Supreme Court made was basically saying that a judge's jurisdiction is limited to his area. They cannot make nationwide injunctions. So if you are a judge and your jurisdiction is the state of Virginia, then you can block the presidential executive order. In that case, you can't block it in other parts of the country. But by doing that, they have created this bizarre situation where in some places, Donald Trump's executive orders will be implemented. In some other states, they will not. But the Supreme Court also gave a pathway to those who are opposing the president's executive order about birthright citizenship by saying you can file cases as class action suit, etc. I don't want to go into the details, but they have not fully shut it down. That's the point of this. So let's look at the executive order. There's a lot of misconception about the executive order. So I'm going to tell you what he's trying to do. And you decide whether you're for it or against it. And so let me go to the executive order itself, and and then we will talk about it a bit. So let me share this executive order. Here it is. Okay, what President Trump says in the executive order. This is straight from the White House website. He says, when that person's mother was unlawfully present in the United States and the father was not a US citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of the said person's birth. So, if you are born to a woman who is illegally in the United States, you could have overstayed your visa, you could have come here as a refugee or a migrant, but you do not have documentation. So, if you're undocumented or you overstayed your visa and so your stay is not legal, and if you're a woman, obviously, and you have a baby, and the person with whom you have the baby is not either a permanent resident, which means has a green card, or a citizen. So basically, if the mother is not legal and if both the parents are not citizens or green card holders, then that child is outside the U.S. jurisdiction, according to their interpretation of the 14th Amendment, and are saying that that person should not be given U.S. citizenship. Number two, when the person's mother's presence in the United States at the time of said person's birth was lawful but temporary. So first case is when the mother is illegal and the father is neither green card or citizen. The second case is when the mother is legal, but he's saying that the visit is temporary, such as you're visiting the US on vacation. You are here on a visa waiver program. There are some countries from where you can come where you don't need a US visa to travel to the US. So you just come here to have your baby. They're called anchor babies. So if you just come here, or you're a student, or you are a tourist, uh, and the father is again neither a green card holder nor a person but so there are lots of uh, there are lots of women who come to the US on vacations, overstay their vacations when they are pregnant. Sometimes the father is not even in the country here, and then they have the baby, then the baby becomes a US citizen, etc. So this is what they are trying to block. And then he says in his policy, if you look at this second policy, section 2, it is the policy of the United States that no department or agency of the United States government shall issue documents recognizing United States citizenship or accept documents issued by state, local, or other governments or authorities purporting to recognize U.S. citizenship for such persons. So basically, saying that if you are one of these persons, and if you're given some document by a state or a city, that should not be construed as granting you citizenship. And the federal agency, basically ICE and others who are planning to deport you, should not treat you as a citizen, even if you have some documentation from your state or your county or your city which suggests that. They're not very explicit here, but they're basically saying that you cannot give a person a birth certificate if the mother is illegal or is here on a temporary visa and the father is neither a green card holder nor a citizen. And then the second thing that he is saying is this that this section shall apply only to persons who are born within the United States 30 days from the date of this order. That order was issued on January 20. So it's applicable only for those people who were born after February 20th and their mothers were not documented or temporary, and the fathers were neither permanent residents nor citizens. So that is the whole point of this. But so this whole fear, the people were saying, oh, J.D. Vance's wife may not have been a citizen when he had his kids, or Melania was not a citizen when Donald Trump's son was born, so they can't be U.S. citizens according to his executive order. They're all wrong. Donald Trump was president. Sorry, he was a U.S. citizen by birth. So all his children born of legal or illegal wives, undocumented, etc., are going to be U.S. citizens. And the same is true for J.D. Vance. He was also born in the U.S. He was always a U.S. citizen. And so regardless of Usha Vance's status, J.D. Vance's children are also going to be U.S. citizens based on this particular executive order. So I'm going to stop with that. And I can see that there are not many questions today. So hello, Nick Sodhi. Thanks for watching. Manu Malhotra, I have now Manu. That's fine. You're welcome. So that's cool. So since there are not many questions or comments, I will stop now. Thank you for watching Khanversations. If you're not a subscriber, do subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Take care. Bye. Oh, here's a question. Yes, Nick, he's just becoming a mayor. Why they asking these questions about him, about Israel and India? That's a fair enough question. It's like somebody's running for mayor of Hyderabad, and then you ask them, do you support the Taliban? Do you think the Taliban should be recognized or not? Or asking them questions about Putin or even Pakistani generals, etc. It would be ridiculous, isn't it? It is. That's why the video that I showed you about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson becomes so important as to how many times American leaders, Democrats as well as Republicans, have to express and demonstrate their loyalty to Israel to remain in the political sphere. So basically, this is a test of loyalty. Are you loyal to Israel? If you are not loyal to Israel, you can't be the prime minister of New York. Well, the mayor of New York, obviously, there's nothing to do with foreign policy. In fact, I don't know why Mehdi hasn't even asked that question. That was he should have said that this is foreign policy is not my purview. But he's also projecting a particular identity. He's resisting Donald Trump's anti-immigrant and all the stuff that Donald Trump has done with deporting people, etc. So Mamdani is actually appealing to those people in New York who want someone to stand up and fight for them, and that is very important. As for the question about Modi, it was very stupid. If you notice, he said President Narendra Modi rather than Prime Minister, so he could have misspoken, but I think the person who was asking the question itself didn't know much about India, or I just think it was a question that popped up from it was a town hall meeting, I think, and somebody from the audience, some proxy for the Hindutva movement, basically spoke up. So anyway, thank you for watching Conversation, and thank you for the question, Nick. Bye.